You know, it's pretty wild when you think about how much the roles inside a marriage have changed over the generations. I mean, what was expected of our grandmothers is just worlds away from the reality of today. So, we're going to dive into one of the biggest shifts of all, the whole idea of the ideal wife and how that blueprint is fading fast. This question. It is loaded with so much history, so much expectation, and let's be honest, usually a whole lot of friction. Whether someone actually says it out loud or it's just kind of hanging in the air, this simple comparison is at the heart of so many arguments in modern relationships. Let's get into why. And look, this isn't just about a few scattered arguments here and there. It's a really widespread cultural thing, where the benchmark for what a good wife is supposed to be is often a model from a totally different time. You see, this comparison often creates a ton of confusion, and frankly, some really unrealistic expectations. The blueprint for that ideal wife that so many people saw growing up is now being applied to a world that has just fundamentally changed. And that's the million-dollar question, right? Is it even reasonable to hold women today to a standard that was set decades ago, or have the rules of the game just completely changed for everybody? First, let's break down what that old standard actually looked like. So, what was in this traditional blueprint anyway? Well, it was a very, very specific set of expectations, and it was built for a very different world. The number one defining feature was selflessness. I mean, her entire identity, her happiness, her day-to-day life, all of it was expected to circle around the needs and wants of her husband, his parents, and pretty much the entire extended family. And you can really boil that whole role down to three core pillars. First, this idea that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, meaning making amazing home-cooked meals was a primary duty. Second, a deep willingness to put her own wants, her own happiness, dead last. And third, this incredible ability to adjust and accommodate literally everyone else, and usually without a single complaint. There's this incredibly powerful metaphor of the diya, an oil lamp that literally consumes its own fuel to give light to everyone around it. That just perfectly captures the whole idea. This self-sacrifice, it wasn't seen as a loss, it was seen as her ultimate purpose, her greatest virtue. Okay, so if that was the old blueprint, why is it so incredibly rare to see today? Well, it wasn't any one thing. It was a whole collection of massive societal shifts that basically just redrew the entire map. I mean, just look at this contrast. The way a young woman is raised has been completely transformed. Where she was once trained mainly for duties in the home, now she's pushed to get an education and build a career. Where she was taught to depend on family, now she's taught to be self-reliant. And this is a huge one. Where quietly enduring hardship was seen as a virtue, now she's absolutely encouraged to speak up. Right from a young age, the message for modern women is just different. The focus is on getting a good education, learning valuable skills, and becoming financially independent. That fundamentally changes your worldview and your priorities, long before marriage is even on the radar. And let's be practical for a second. With the rising costs of pretty much everything, for a lot of families, two incomes aren't a luxury anymore. They're an absolute necessity. So a woman's career isn't just a personal choice, it's a vital part of the family's financial stability. Think about it. When you get an education, when you earn your own money, when you travel and see the world, it builds this powerful sense of self-worth. A modern woman sees herself as an individual, with her own identity, her own dreams, totally separate from just being a wife or mother. There's this wonderful phrase for this, Papa ki Pari, which translates to daddy's princess. But it's about so much more than just being spoiled. It really represents a deep, deep shift in parenting, where parents raise their daughters to truly believe that their happiness matters and that their voice deserves to be heard. And finally, society itself is different. You've got stronger laws and changing social norms that give women a safety net and a level of confidence that just didn't exist for our grandmothers. Women today are much more aware of their rights, and they have more support if they end up in an unfair situation. So you put all of those pieces together, the education, the economic reality, the sense of self-worth, and all this new societal support, and what you get is a completely new definition of what a partnership even looks like. The old map just doesn't work anymore. That traditional path, the one that was so clearly laid out for previous generations, it just leads to a dead end now. So here's the bottom line. The connection today isn't primarily based on domestic service anymore. It's built on mutual respect, on being intellectual equals, on a shared understanding of the world. It's about connecting through conversation and what you both value, not just through a well-cooked meal. And this is the most important thing to take away from all this. This isn't a story about failure. Modern women have not failed to live up to some old ideal. What's actually happened is that the ideal itself has changed. The very definition of a good partner, for men and for women, has just become more complex, more equal, and way more collaborative. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about, doesn't it? As we all move away from these old, outdated blueprints, what are the new pillars that we should be building our partnerships on? What are the qualities that are going to define the ideal partner for the generations coming up right behind us?